Sego, hello everyone, and welcome to this week's Just for Kids activity. Have you ever seen corn dance? I don't know about you, but I'm excited to get started with this week's activity. For this week's activity, we are going to use a number of ingredients. We're going to need some water. We're going to use about 2.5 to 3 cups. Food coloring, I've got blue because it's one of my favorite colors. We're going to use some corn kernels, some baking soda, some white vinegar, and we're going to need a glass jar. Your jar is going to need to hold at least 2.5 to 3 cups of liquid. The jars that you received in your kits will absolutely hold this much liquid. In addition, we're also going to use a tablespoon and some measuring spoons. I've got a 1 cup measuring spoon, and then we're also going to need a tablespoon. So make sure you've got everything, and we can get started. So here's where we're going to add the water. As I said, we're going to use 2.5 to 3 cups of water. My jar is big enough to hold 3 cups, so I'm going to add in 3 cups of water. There's 1. Two. And 3. Next, we'll add our food coloring. We want to make sure that the color of the water isn't too dark. We want to make sure we can see our corn kernels through the water. So I'm going to start with 1 drop of food coloring. Ooh, this is a pretty blue. I think I'm going to stick with just 1 drop. Now it's time for our baking soda. We are going to add 2 tablespoons of our baking soda. There's 1. Go ahead, sprinkle that in. And there's 2. Now it's time to give our water and our baking soda a good stir. We want to make sure that all of our baking soda is dissolved. This might be a good time to sing the ABCs or another one of your favorite songs while you stir. I still see some baking soda, so I'm just going to keep on stirring. It's looking good. I think I've got everything mixed well together. Now we can add our corn kernels. You're going to want to add a small handful of corn kernels. I think that this looks like a pretty good amount. Now it's time for our vinegar. We're going to add 6 tablespoons of vinegar into this mixture. I'm trying to decide whether I want to show you this part right now or if I'm going to wait till after. All right, let's add in these 6 tablespoons of vinegar together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right, this is where I'm going to stop showing you what I've got going on over here because I don't want to ruin the surprise for you. Put your 6 tablespoons of vinegar in, put the lid on top of your jar, and watch and wait and see what happens. Do you have any ideas of what might happen? And there we go. We've got some dancing corn. How long did your corn keep dancing for? Ours lasted for about an hour. Are you wondering how does this work? Well, I'm going to explain it. Basically, the science behind this activity is that when the baking soda and the vinegar combine, they form something called carbon dioxide, or CO2, which is a gas. The gas forms bubbles in the water, which circle around the corn kernels. The bubbles lift the kernels up to the surface, and when they get there, they pop, and then the kernels sink again. The hopping or dancing continues until the vinegar and baking soda have finished reacting. As I mentioned, for us, it lasted for about an hour. Now that you know a little bit of the science behind this activity, take a closer look at your corn kernels as they're dancing in your jar. Can you see the little bubbles that are forming around each kernel? Do you see them pop when they get to the top? And then do you notice them sink back down to the bottom? It's pretty amazing, isn't it? I hope you enjoyed today's activity of dancing corn and that you'll join us again next week. Until then, Ona!